puns now.
I met Gwen during the run of Can-Can. I used to come when I was in high school to New York every summer and study with the teachers here. And I had such a crush on her from the Ed Sullivan shows. And so I waited at the stage door at Can-Can, I think it was 15, just to tell her how brilliant she was. And the true story, we wanted to get this accurate. So I called Michael Kidd's widow, Shelah Hackett, to ask her. She was in Can-Can, and I said, what is the true story of the 7-minute ovation? And she told me it was truly out of town. Gwen was stealing the show from the star, Lilo, and Lilo was pissed off about it, and she kept cutting Gwen's part down. And Gwen at one point said, I'm leaving the show unless this stops happening. But opening night, the dance numbers would build and build, and by the time it got to the Apache number, which was maybe late in the show, I'm not sure, but the audience was so on Gwen's side that when she went up and she stabbed Ralph Beaumont with a knife and haughtily walked off the stage, the audience went nuts. They just screamed, they started stomping and screaming her name, and she went right to her dressing room and took her costume off, and she was in her bra and panties, and Michael Kidd was out front in the back of the house, and he said, why isn't she taking another bow? What is happening? The show can't go on unless she comes out. He ran down the right aisle, up to her dressing room, said, you got to go back on the stage. And she said, I can't, I'm naked. So he threw a towel, not a bathrobe, which the legend is, but over her and pushed her out on the stage to take another bow. And Dick Cavett said it was a 7-minute ovation. I don't know, but an instant star was born. So, yeah. And then the next time, I was in a show with her called New Girl in Town, and we had a ballet in the second act called the Whorehouse Ballet. And it was 15 years before Bob did Cabaret. So all the stuff on the chairs that the girls do with their feet twirling, that was in all this. And this was 1957. And it was quite out there. In fact, we have 3 pictures from it, from a sort of a little sexy magazine I found when and I'll tell you, as we watched them, I'll tell you what's going on here. That's her at the end. Okay. And this is her with John Aristides. This is the good shot. She was into studying with Sandy Meisner, and she wanted to act the hell out of Anna. It's Anna Christie. She plays Anna Christie. And she would sometimes cry before she made her entrance. She would prepare so much. And George Abbott is not that kind of a director, and he used to say, just say the lines, Gwen, just say the lines. But this ballet was so erotic and wonderful, and she felt it so much that as John Aristides carries her upstairs to the bed, her breasts would fall out like this, and sometimes all the way. But she didn't care because it was organic, and that's the way she wanted to work. Well, one day in New Haven, we went to a rehearsal, the dancers, and the stage door was locked. It was padlocked, and there was a police sign on the door. And it said, do not enter, police, whatever. George Abbott and Hal Prince and Bobby Griffith had wanted the ballet out so much that they went to the city officials and said, this is pornographic. And so it was cut that night, I think. But a good thing happened because Bobby tamed it down for the New York opening, but little by little, as the show ran, he put it back to where it was here. And nobody knew it except us. So anyhow, that's, is there one more? Yeah, he's carrying her upstairs. And that corset was how it looked. That was absolutely sexy like that. Okay, now the next thing we're going to see is in New Girl in Town. She plays Anna Christie, and at one point in the show, Anna Christie regains her confidence and is proud to be alive again. And this number ends the first act, and it's called the Pony Dance. And he named it that way and did it that way because of the proudness of how a pony is and how he wanted Gwen to be a new character and all that. And what happens at the end of the number, 20 of the dancers come down stage. It ends when Bob and Gwen do this step, but I'm going to attempt to show you how this thing ended. And when you see me do this, you'll know that what I'm doing. So anyhow, and it's brilliant. Look at the technique is phenomenal. Here's the pony dance from New Girl in Town.
The pony dance.
the same music started playing, the curtain goes up, and we're still taking and they went crazy. That was Bob Fosse. Oh, I want to, here, now we're going to skip around and go to Damn Yankees. But you're not going to see anything yet. But I want to read for you a paragraph. This is a wonderful book by Frank Rich. It's just delicious. This is the first time as an adolescent he saw Gwen do Lola. Well, maybe I can't read it now. Nurse! You want to read it?
Where is that, honey?
Right here.
I got my glasses on. Is it sitting between?
Yeah.
Sitting between Polly and Mom in the dark plush seats at the movie, I hardly paid attention to the words. I couldn't take my eyes off Lola herself. She kept taking her clothes off her clothes as she sang until she was in her underwear. It was black and very tight and sheer, with a pattern of holes that permitted Lola's white skin to peek through. My goodness, Frank. Maybe he should read this to his wife. As she crawled on the floor in her tights and some kind of lacy brassiere, the contour of her breasts and her bare shoulders pushed toward Joe, who mouthed on a bench. All those curves were rolling toward me too, and I watched no less open-mouthed. I couldn't stop staring at her neck, her arms, her breasts, except when I stole a look at her legs as, eventually, they entwined themselves around Joe Hardy. Her legs were not nude, but the black sheen of her stockings was easily as powerful a lure as her skin.
Thank you, Frank.